okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, Kevin's children, well, he has five daughters and three of them, well, four of them are there now.
Okay, you're live.
Okay.
Thank you, Jolene. Hi, everyone. Welcome to today's Power Hour. We're so happy to be here with you. I'm just going to start off by asking Theta to do a prayer for us before we begin.
Well, okay, Nixikoa. I just thought I would like some of this bear root because medicine is remote, and the medicine we're sending out to everybody who's watching this and all of the people that you love, just that there's safety and that there's prosperity and that there's abundance. So I'll just say a short prayer in my Blackfoot language. Hayo stipatapi, hayo napi natusi, hayo akitapi wa. Mumukana siksikai kaina ya batsapikani and skapi pikani. Ishtapatapi, we're asking you to bless all of the 500 plus tribes in this continent. We're asking you to bless all of the 250 tribes on Canadian, the Métis, and the First Nation. We're asking you to bless all of the tribes and the other continents, all of the indigenous and all of our indigenous allies. And we're asking special prayer for our allies wounded in their body and spirit and might not be thinking too good, that you help them heal their wounds so that our could come together in a good way. Ishtapatapi, we really ask that you put a sacred covering around all of our children from the tip of their head to the bottom of their feet, inside and out, and that they all grow to be old grandparents and get to see their grandchildren into 5, 6, 7 generations into the future. It's Shabbat. We're just asking, could we ask a special prayer for our United States, and that every family finds love, finds security, and finds safety in these next 40 days, or we have a new president. Ios Shabbat. We just ask special prayers for the thank you for clean water. Creator, we really, really thank you for all of the gardens and the plants and things that people have grown. We really thank you for all of the 200,000 plus babies that have just been born recently. We ask special prayers for the babies that are in the making, even if they're in utero one day or 8 months, that you give them a blessing of joy, that they come out into a new prosperity, and that there is abundance and love and safety and joy for every family watching this Power Hour. Please give a blessings to my sisters, are all involved, our team here. We're just trying our best. We're trying our best. And we're just so glad that you're guiding us, Creator. We thank you. We have so much gratitude for you. Thank you. Anya. Thank you, sister.
I was muted. Thank you so much, Theta, for opening us up. And thank you for everyone who's joining us. My name is Lael Tate. I work at the Northwest Portland Area Indian Health Board with the Thrive Project. Tribal health reaching out involves everyone, and I'm just really happy to be here with you all today. This week we have been doing programming around mental health, emotional health, physical health, and spiritual health as a part of a collaboration between the Native Wellness Institute, the Center for Native American Youth, and We Are Native. So we're just really happy to be here with you all. And today's focus is on spiritual health. And I'm really happy to have Theta and Chelsea with us here today to just kind of share some lessons and some perspectives on what spiritual health looks like during this time, especially. So I'm just really thankful they're here, and I'd love for you guys to introduce yourselves however you'd like. Oops. So Theta, if you would like to start with introducing yourself.
Thank you so much. Oki Nistu Nidaniko Mokoyos. My Blackfoot name that I just got 3 years ago. I am 65 years old, and before these 3 years, Nistu Nidaniko Okstukama, my grandma, Okstukama, and Mokoyo Sakoi means Milky Way or medicine trail or wolf's trail. I have 64 first cousins, and they have hundreds of kids. I have all these relatives, so I'm not just a nuclear family, okay? And so I come from the Blackfoot Confederacy, where Kapi Pikani, the Europeans have taught you to call us Blackfeet. And so Native Wellness is kind of my home, my home group. Everyone from Native Wellness Institute is kind of like my family choice, because I believe in the teachings of our ancestors. And so I'm just really pleased to be here today, and I'm honored to be asked. So thank you.
Chelsea, would you like to go ahead?
Sure. Hamadakiapi, hello relatives. Mwakia Tokahi Wiamachiapi, Chelsea Luger, Indigenous Cause. My name is First Thunder, that's my Lakota name. From my dad's side of the family, I'm from the Cheyenne River Sioux tribe and from the Standing Rock Sioux tribe. So I'm Hunkpapa and Minikonju Lakota. And on my mom's side of the family, I'm Anishinaabe from the Turtle Mountain Band of Chippewa. And so I was born and raised in the Great Plains, North Dakota. I have traveled the world. I have lived in the East Coast for a number of years for college and grad school, and I now live in O'odham territory in what most people know as Phoenix, Arizona, with my husband Thosh and my daughter Aloe, who is 2 years old. And I've got another baby on the way in my belly. So I am dealing with some back pain right now. If you see me fidgeting around, I don't know, 30 weeks pregnant, something like that. And I'm just super, super grateful for all of that. And I thank Theta for including the babies in our prayers. I always appreciate that. And grateful to be here today. Grateful to work with NWI as always. It's an honor and it's a blessing to be a part of the Native Wellness family. And grateful to support this conversation in whatever way I can. I hope I can offer some insight, and I'm very glad we have Theta here to, I always love to hear Theta's wisdom as well.
Thank you both so much for introducing yourselves and for being here today. It's just an honor to be here with you both. So I think I'd like to start out, this week is really about kind of giving advice for Native young people and Native youth, and what does emotional, mental, spiritual health look like. So I'd really love to hear from both of you, and maybe starting with Theta, how you kind of how you started your how you started connecting to spiritual health and your beliefs, and how that has sort of grown over time. If you have advice for young people and how they can be connected to spiritual health and what that looks like.
Well, thank you for asking. I always, I know my journey. I was talking to my Ganakta, my crazy dog brother, in our society, that my mom was telling me a story of when I was 3 months old. Joe Boss Iron Pipe, and another ancestor named White Quiver. And my grandmas, they had brought me to an Okon, which is a medicine lodge, like a Sunday. And I was 3 months old, and they prayed there. So I think it wasn't what I did. I think it's what she parents do. I think it's what your grandparents do. And the aunties that are your other mothers. And I think the uncles that are your other fathers. And then your bigger family, I think it's what they do with you. They dream you. And then, and I think, and plus my dad's mom, Atstaniwa, all of our women have names that they're like warrior names, so they protected all their life. Atstanikiwa was the midwife here on this reservation, and she delivered all of the babies. She had a great knowledge of, she could deliver breech birth. She could, she was always, the last baby she delivered was named Snake Comes at Night, and he just passed, but that was in 1955. And then they made all of the women go to a hospital. And so, the spirit, you asked that question, I think that begins with who raises you. But if for some reason, whoever raised you, if they were like brainwashed by colonizers or something, it's okay. You can still discover it yourself. It's like, in case they were not good guides, or maybe they were just consumers. Consumers, money was their god rather than God being their god. Then I think that as a young person, just got to hang around people that you want to be like. It's like when you see someone, you see how they behave, if they're kind, or if you see someone and they're athletic, that's okay. If you see someone and you think that they're handsome and beautiful, that's okay. But just look to someone that you want to be like and go and hang with them. Just hang out with them, eat with them, just watch them and hang out with them, because I really believe that we are all spiritual beings, but that we advance ourselves if we hang out with other spiritual beings. And so I hope that answers part of your question.
Yeah, definitely does. Thank you so much, Theta, for that. That two-part is, one, it doesn't start with us, and it starts with our family and those, our parents and our community. So thank you for bringing that up. But then also keeping in mind that not all of our young people kind of may have an upbringing like that. And so it's possible to kind of reconnect or connect to spiritual health in really healthy ways. So thank you for that, Theta. And then Chelsea, I'd love to hear your thoughts on the answer.
Sure. Oh man, that's a big question. I always, I feel so grateful that I was raised from the beginning of my life with spirituality and with my spiritual teachings, because I know that because of colonialism, it's not a privilege that everybody is afforded. Some of us have been, our families have been violently removed from our spiritual practices. And so I guess the first thing I would like to say is just, to all the kids and youth out there who we're speaking to, if that's your case, if that's your circumstance, please don't feel any shame in that whatsoever. That's a history that has impacted all of our people. And, if your spirituality, your spiritual teachings, have been removed from your lineage or your family in that violent way, then I have nothing but sympathy and empathy for you. And I know I have relatives, I think almost all of my grandparents went through boarding schools and Catholicism and all that kind of stuff. And it's interesting because I still see them as deeply spiritual people. And then in my parents, one from Standing Rock, one from Turtle Mountain, they were both raised pretty strictly Catholic. But my dad reclaimed his spirituality, his Lakota spirituality, before I was ever born. And so that's why I say, I feel grateful that I was raised with it from the time I was born. you know, in going to ceremonies and in understanding our worldview and our philosophies and all of the beautiful teachings that come with that. And for sure, if there's one thing I've learned about Lakota spirituality and those teachings, is that our people were just beautifully open-minded, non-judgmental, loving, caring, respectful, especially respectful of elders and of babies and ancestors, and we saw ourselves as ancestors, and we saw ourselves in this long chain of lineage that goes back from the beginning of time all the way into, you know, the future, and it all is interconnected in a circle. And so those are the kind of teachings that I try to carry with me today. And I've been through struggles in life where as a young person, I had carried a lot of anger, you know, like a teenage and early 20s, carried a lot of anger. I didn't really have any healthy outlets. I kind of veered away from my spiritual path and turned to unhealthy outlets like drinking and partying and that kind of thing. And thankfully, eventually, I always had my spirituality to sort of remind me of my true self and who I really was and of who I wanted to be. So I love Theta's advice about like hang around the people who you really admire and respect, because I did a lot of that. I hung out with my grandparents a lot when I was a kid, and I think that and I still do when some of my grandparents have passed on, but for those that are still here, I try to hang out with them and try to hang out with other role models and leaders, and I've found a network and a community of people of all ages, and that's what happens when you allow yourself to be a spiritual person and you allow yourself to be your true self. You find real friendships and real meaningful relationships that can really guide you through life. And that's what we're supposed to do, right? We're supposed to be there for each other. And I think all of those things are spiritual. I really do. And so, yeah, I just want to encourage in a positive way. Even if you feel disconnected or far removed from your spirituality, you're not, because you carry that with you in your heart, and your ancestors have passed that down to you.
Thank you so much for that, Chelsea. I really appreciate both of you just touching on, like not everyone has access to that or was raised in that, but you can still, have that spirituality in your life. And I think that's so important for young people to hear. So I really thank you for that. And hanging out with people who you want to be like and who have like kind of good habits and like a good energy is so important. So thank you so much for that. Our next question is, how have you what strategies or how have you been maintaining your spiritual health, or what kind of things have you been doing during this time? It's such a difficult time for so many of us, and so many in our community are hurting. So what does your spiritual health look like right now? And I'll go to Theta first.
Well, thank you. I was just thinking about what Chelsea said, because my mother's 82, and my mom was talking about, I listen to my mother still a lot. And I never talk back to her, and I never question her. So if you're young, you can be more spiritually grounded if you listen to those who love you unconditionally. And just listen. But so one of the things she said that the other day is, because we have a lot of strife in some families, there's a lot of tests and challenges. Is she said, when you have a baby, you spiritually, that it's like as if you took your heart, your whole ability to love, and it's outside your body, and you start watching around. And as so that so in this time is remember who gave you life. Remember who gave you life and who dreamt you. That will ground you, because like last night, when you a lot happens today, it's a lot of emotion. Um, and then I was hearing, big numbers of COVID, and hearing things that was like hard. They hit you, and it kind of quivered spirituality. So then one of me, we're in lockdown, but we have this 300 group of people on this lockdown Facebook they started posting pictures of their grandparents and their grandpa and their grandma. And then someone messaged me and said, can you put some of your grandparents, And so then I was like ready to go to bed after Amazon. I thought, oh, okay. So I go over and take a picture of grandpa and grandma. And then when I put it on there, it was so weird because like it's almost like I called them Atsta Nikiwa. And then my grandpa Sam, he was born in 1900. Berries were ripe, so that could be like July to August, because they didn't really record a lot of the birth. And my grandpa was never seen him angry or upset. He was always like a trickster. He'd always say something to you, and all of a sudden, so I'm saying this to others, you fall in their spirit. So by taking their picture and posting it with all my friends, and then look at their grandparents, and when you do that, when you have happiness outside of your own ego, because like ego stands for edging God out. So, and we all know egos. You see egos walking around, see them on social media when they're in love with themselves. But when you can step outside of loving yourself and be happy, truly happy, make those situations during the pandemic. And I guess I talk in stories. Like I was telling, I told Jolene in the gang, like Okstukam on my first name, we always plan and we're all ready. I've been ready for a pandemic. I got a couple degrees from Berkeley, and my study was in pandemic. So, I've been wearing a mask since May 5th, but I also, in other spiritual things, I've always saved giveaway for when I die. I'm not afraid to die, but I have all these star quilts and all these Pendletons and all this stuff. So I told my family, when I die, you guys don't have to run around. You know how we manically run around in grief. I said, you don't have to run around. The giveaway's all right here, So it was good. But I told my family when this pandemic started, think about everybody out there. Think about what you give away, because what started happening was I would, my one little niece who was going to have this grand wedding, and we were all looking forward to it. It was August 20th. We've been planning this wedding for years for them, but all because of the pandemic, we couldn't go. So I thought, well, I'll just take some of my giveaway. I got a star quilt, and I sent, and then my other little niece had a baby, and I didn't even know, because she's not on social media. So she sends me in the mail this picture of this new baby named Ross. So I sent him a blanket, a star quilt. And so what I'm asking you to do is, we have too much stuff. Give it away. And so my one friend, she was saying, yeah, I have 300 pairs of shoes. And I go, what? 300 pairs of shoes? Why do you need 300 pairs of shoes? You should start giving some of that. So in maintaining your spirituality, think about giveaway, and whether it's things or the words that you use. The words, your most precious gift is your words. Compliment when you compliment someone, you actually squirt good endorphins. Compliment people rather than judge them, especially now, because everybody everyone in this pandemic is transforming. They will come out. They're not going to be the person that they were at the beginning. So you have to respect that spiritual transformation. You know, people are making decisions about where they want to live. People are making decisions, you know, really recommitting to vows, to, you know, to their whole spiritual being. You know, I was right before we came on, Crazy Dog Brother brought. I'm part of a Kami Poise mix. That means you're the owner of a stand headdress. And I got transferred 4 years ago, but I always heard of, you know, like in early 1800s, Pita Maka. She was running eagle. She actually went to war with men and wore stand-up headdress because these are their spirit. They're given. You earn these. You can't say, "Oh, I think that's cute." Oh, it's on aisle 7 in Walmart. No. You got, and it's like the elders have to watch you for years. They watch how you behave, they watch how you treat people, and then they see you earned one and they transfer. And so I didn't get transferred by my crazy 4 years ago, but now we have there's over 80 of us, 80 us in the Blackfoot Confederacy that have been transferred. Even, you know, Michelle Wolftail, who is Wolfchild's granddaughter, and Michelle is let's see, she's only 19 now. She got transferred because all her life she danced for the people. She danced, you know, all style. She danced, you know, fancy shawls. She danced traditional. She danced jingle. She all her life she danced, but she was taught that you get out to dance for people, not for prize money, but for people. And that's like, and she did that all her life, and she represented us. You know, like United Nation kind of thing. She would go out and dance, and because she did that, she got transferred. So you know, this isn't. I'm sorry, I don't think like a white person. You know, like I can't give you a PowerPoint or tell you to Google something. That's not how it's done. What it is it's from the inside. It's an inside job inside of your soul. Your soul is a thing that will guide you. And so I'm just sharing the story. So I'm kind of overwhelmed right now because see, like I've been taught that I'm nothing. That I'm nothing. I'm just human. I'm just a regular human being. But this they're made for to uplift the people. And so when our women had these, when the outsiders came, the first thing that they made sure that to do away with it, any woman that had one of these. And they were so good at it that the women that did have these, they would keep them in the closet and they wouldn't bring them out. But now, you know, there's the women have had these, and then, you know, my auntie Charlene Prairie Chicken, she's the only woman that makes these. There, you know, some men can make them, but you know, because they have to have like golden eagle, you know, there's and the crazy dogs that made this, they saw that like what we do at NWI, the work. So this brown weasel is only put on a warrior, and that's why they put it on here because they saw the, you know, over these last. They watched me all my life, you know, and they saw the, you know, when, you know, I'll end kind of with this story because I want to give equal time to Chelsea. Is, you know, when I was in the 7th grade, and this is, you know, in those days, you know, girls couldn't wear pants. to school. It was illegal. And so, so a bunch of us girls got together, you know, we're in the 7th grade. You know, when you're in the 7th grade, you know everything, right? You know everything. And so we just said, that's not right. So we organized all girls to, because you got ended if you wore pants. And so we organized, and it's happening now with all of our organizing, protesting and stuff. We organized and we all made a pledge to wear pants on the same day. But only about half of us did, because some got scared. Some, you know, we showed up to school and they suspended all of us who had pants on. We got suspended because we wore pants to school. But what happened because of that, and that's why the protests are so important. It's so important because the freedom of speech and saying what you believe in. So what happened is we got suspended, and then our parents went to the PTA meeting, and then the adults, the adults got together, and for the love of the children, they changed the law that girls could wear pants. And so then, you know, the spiritual, you know, we have to, because when you're pure, like, well, you're still a virgin. When you're pure, you have the purest heart. And that's why the purest heart is very important in ceremony. Whether it's a young boy or a young girl, their prayers are more powerful than those who are ego, okay? And so during this time, you know, one of the things, if you are privileged, because some of us aren't around our children, or we aren't around our, you know, all my nieces and nephews that I can't see or hug. If you have children around you, hug them at least 45 times a day during the pandemic. I mean, just like hug them, you know, just like hug them and feel their essence and let them feel your essence, you know, just like hug them, because they're like medicine. But I'll just, you know, I'm just sharing this with you because I'm overwhelmed with spirituality right now. Because even when I die, it's not about me. This will still hold the power, and it will still uplift our people. And so I think, you know, so now that it's he just delivered it, and I'm going to, and I'm sharing it to you because I prayed before we came on. Whoever was on, I prayed that good things happen for you, and that your life goes good, and that your family is okay, and that, you know, on the other, you know, if it's a year, 3 or 4 years, that when you look back at this in hindsight, you can see, dang, that's when I finally got it. That's what the pandemic was, my gift. I got it, you know. And I'm just that everyone has that aha moment, or just, you know, that growth of their own spiritual being. I think that's my prayer, is that everybody transforms into more of a pure human being. So thank you for asking.
Thank you so much, Theta. Thank you for your stories and for sharing that with us. It's just amazing. It's amazing to hear from you speak. So I'm just so grateful that I get to be here and talk to you both. So thank you for that. And I would love to hear, Chelsea, what your answer would be around how you kind of take care of your spiritual health, especially during this time.
Well, going off what Theta was saying, ever since I became a mother a couple years ago, she's absolutely right. My daughter feels like my heart and my whole spirit walking around, and I just watch her move around, and I'm just fascinated by her. And I'm proud to say that I do honor Theta's advice, and I just hug her and I kiss her a million times a day. And, you know, she knows that that I'm always going to be the person to offer that to her. And that is spirituality right there, you know? And just staying connected as much as I can with relatives who I love and who care for me, and who I care for them, friends. You know, we're obviously restricted from personal contact with a lot of people right now, and I think that does hurt our spirits, but we can still connect, you know, and if you reach out to people and just do more than send a text or have a, you know, comment on a Facebook or whatever, really calling people and letting people know that you care, it'll lift both of your spirits. And I'm grateful for those who have done that for me as well. So so there are ways to stay connected even though we're in this pandemic. And then of course prayer, you know, daily prayer. And sometimes for us as a family, that means like having our own ceremonies as an immediate family in a safe way. Other times that means, you know, so sometimes we really make a day of it, and we go out and bring all of our whatever medicines we're praying with, or sacred items that help us to pray. We bring those out, and we really go outside and get away from the city and you know, spend that time. Or sometimes, a lot of times for me, prayer just happens in my head too, and I don't have to announce it. I just do it in my head. And whether I'm showing gratitude for my food, or, you know, for my daughter, or whatever it is that I'm grateful for in that moment, I think as much as we can do that, that really helps our spirituality as well. Some of my spirituality is in things that I don't do. So I try not to gossip about people in a bad way. I try not to spend too much time reading bad news because it hurts me. I try not to spend, well, I don't do any drugs or alcohol, because that stuff is harmful to the spirit in my experience. Though I have nothing but compassion for those who are struggling with the substances. And it's little things like that. My grandma Thelma, like I said, is a person who I spent a lot of time with when she was alive. And she was a deeply spiritual person, and also a Catholic, because, you know, she went through boarding schools and all that. And but probably one of the most spiritual people I've ever had the blessing of being around. And she never cussed. She never cussed or used bad language about anyone. And I never once in my life heard her say something bad about anybody else. She's the only person I can think of that I've truly never heard her. You couldn't tempt her to say something bad about somebody. And that to me is spirituality, and that's what I strive to be. I wish I could say the same about myself, you know, because I was in some of those unhealthy habits for a while. And I think with, you know, Thea mentions too, like that social media can be really, it can be a really ugly place, and it can be really exploitative of the ego, and it can bring out these negative traits in a lot of people. So it is kind of hard that during this pandemic, we do rely more on social media to connect. But there is a way of using it in a good way. And it's just like what you all are doing with Cine and with Native Wellness and these power hours. And so, you know, anything can be a healthy outlet as long as we put our energy toward that in a good way. So yeah, those are just some of the ways that I am, that I try to, you know, maintain. I guess I don't even know how to describe it, maintain or stay connected with my spirituality. And it definitely does extend beyond prayer and ceremony. It extends to our daily actions. And none of us are perfect. But the beautiful thing is about our indigenous teachings is, at least what I was raised with, is there was no harsh punishments. Like if we fall out of balance or, fall off of the red road for a while, it's always there for us to come back to. And there's no judgment, there's no punishment, there's no slap on the wrist or shame in that. And so again, just for all the youth and young people listening, like you've got a whole long life ahead of you, and I think it's really good that you're all focusing, and anybody who's listening to this right now is curious and is interested in learning. And that's one of the most spiritual things that you can do as well, is to learn, be open-minded, and be willing to transform and to change and to always strive to be better and always striving to be in balance. I guess the only other thing I missed is also, of course, just this concept of wellness is also deeply spiritual. So being mindful that the foods we eat can impact how good our spirit and our heart feels. If we feel stagnant or depressed, or I know for me, I get a lot of anxiety. If you get in those kind of spaces, you can move that out of your body. So try to go for a walk. Or I actually always share Theta's example of, she mentioned she's 65 years old and she goes on long walks every day, no matter the weather. She's told us about that before. And she has all these friendships that she's made with the wildlife that lives around her home. And that's so cool because that's healing, that's spiritual healing right there, just by getting up in the morning and going for a walk. And those are the kind of things that I hope to continue doing for the rest of my life, because all of that contributes to our healing.
Yeah, thank you, Kelsey. Thank you for that. And I love how you're speaking directly to young people and youth who are watching. That's so important. So as we've about 10 minutes left, I have one final question for you both. And it's kind of what message would you give to your younger self, or what message would you like to give to this new next generation? So I will start with Theta. What do you think about that?
I in our ways, we have a teaching. It's about a circle when you're born at 0, and this is about 25 years old and 50 years old and 75, because we get about 100 years if we're good to our body. The physical never die, but there's rites of passage. So if I was going back to myself, I've done a lot of self-forgiveness, so I'm not going to jerk myself around about anything. I think I did a good job. Did a good job coming out with the, but if you ask people their ACE or adverse child effects, my ACE score is 10. I'm supposed to be in jail, or I'm supposed to be dead, but I'm not, because I'm the seed to be. Who I am. I'm not trying to be a different tribe, or I'm not trying to be. So my advice to those that are younger is, and it's okay if you're 5 tribes. It's okay if you're 2 tribes and you're Scottish and you're German and you're Irish. It's okay no matter what that formula is. That my advice is to learn as much as you can about each of them. Because in our family, we were fortunate with Ancestry.com. we searched for years trying to find white relatives, and we found them. We found them, and it was kind. So I'll just so I'll say, go find all your relatives. You know, my sister-in-law found our grandpas because our grandpa ran away from his people and lived with the Indians, and he never would tell us. So we thought it was North Dakota, but they were in Wentworth, South Dakota, and they came over on the, Allison Island. But when we went to go visit them, we brought my mom and my uncle who was gone and my auntie, and we're all brown and they're not brown, but we got to know each other, and it was very healing. So I would search out, but if you are Indian, search out Indian that you are. Because I've seen a lot of people struggle, in the 60s, 70s, when people didn't know who they were and they tried to find out, they watched Dances of Wolves and they all tried to become, and so, here they are, Navajo trying to be Lakota, with Navajo sing Blackfoot songs, or, you don't have to be who you are. Just love who you are and explore who you are, find out who you are, and it's all okay. It's all okay. There's no wrong or right way. Find out your teachings and see if they work for you now. See, because I would say to my younger self, I would have fasted much earlier. Because in our tribe, sometimes they'd put children out when they were 7 years old to fast for 4 days. And that's when you really spiritually grow, is when you fast food or water and you just pray. And and so I've done that. I've sundanced. And I think I would also, if you're young, go check out an Alateen meeting, because that saved my life when I was 12 years old. I went to an Alateen meeting. I couldn't understand my dad's drinking. And I was so frustrated with him. I just, I wished he was dead sometimes, what he was doing to my mom and our family. Because I knew my real dad, but I had to separate the disease of addiction from my real parent. And when I went to that meeting and I found out that he had a disease, I had an out-of-body experience, and I had all forgiveness. And so if you're young, especially if your parents are hurting you in some way, try. Once I understood that, then I never wished bad things on my father because he had a disease. That's like, treating a diabetic, like, a diabetic. So I would say to my younger self, I would have probably learned to be a better horseback rider. I probably would have. I really wished I would have paid into the real Black Panthers when I met them. I would have. I really liked, being around Dennis Banks and Floyd Westerman and Wilma Mankiller. I spent a lot of. I would have, those kind of people. To your younger self, sit with your relatives. They're better than Netflix. They're better than TikTok. If your only training is TikTok, it's not going to go well. So I'll give some of that. I want to give Chelsea, but thank you for asking. Thank you for asking.
Thank you, Theda. Thank you for your answer. How about you, Chelsea? What would you say to your younger self or to this younger generation?
Yeah. I think that the only advice I can give is be proud of being the person in the room who listens and who doesn't know the answer, who's willing to ask the question. There's so much emphasis sometimes in the schooling system today on praising and only uplifting the person who knows, who automatically knows. But I think in our cultures, I think it was much more supported when children were just allowed to be learners and allowed to be listeners and question askers. And you'll get to a place one day where you have all, you know, a lot of the answers. I'm not near there. I'm in my 30s. I have a long time to go before I'm that person. But just know that that's something to be proud of when you're willing to say, I don't know, or I still have to learn. And just continuing life with that open mind is really a good thing. And the only other thing is just to reiterate what I already said before about, like, just don't be ashamed if you've made a mistake, or nobody's perfect, and you've got a whole life ahead of you, and just go easy on yourself, be gentle on yourself. You're just, it's okay to make mistakes. That's all I would say. And I'll give you a hug.
I love that. Thank you, Chelsea. I feel like everything you both are saying, I'm just like listening and just kind of taking it in, because I mean, I need advice. I need so much advice. And so it's really nice to just hear it and kind of, everything you're saying to young people is just so wonderful. It's kind of like virtual hugs, sort of. So exactly. It's just really wonderful, and it just feels so good to be here with both of you. And I wonder if there's any kind of closing words either of you would have, if there's any last thoughts you'd want to share before we're kind of getting to the hour, but there's just like a last few thoughts you have. Do you have anything, Peter? Or if you would want to close us with a prayer, I'll leave that open to both of you.
Just in a nutshell, really pay attention to your dreams. Have good sleep hygiene. This morning I dreamt about chewing black bones, and I dreamt about these pillar stones, like they were just ending a ceremony, but I had to talk to people who know me. I was with the ancestors, except my sister Carol Murray and then my sister Lori that was in the dream, and it's still resonating. So really pay attention to dreams. Whatever you dream, you're the best interpreter. And I think that your dreams will guide you through this time. And when you're transforming, you really have to pay attention to what you dream, because that's when your subconscious it's like your spirit gets to be free in the dream and talk to you, because sometimes there's too much noise going on and people that can't remember your dreams. So that would be my last piece of.
Thank you so much for Theta. And do you have any last thoughts, Chelsea?
Oh, no, that's good. That's good advice from Theta.
Well, thank you both so much. It has just been such an honor to be here with you both and hear from you. And I think everyone has learned so much. So thank you for everyone who's watching us live. We will, this is one of our last events with this collaboration between NWI, CNA, and We Are Native. And we ended with spiritual health, and I think it's just such a wonderful way to end this week and kind of bring all of these pieces of our lives and of our lives together. So I just want to thank our collaborators in CNA and NWI and my team with We Are Native, and thank you so much, Theta and Chelsea, for joining me today. It's been really wonderful. So yeah, thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Have a great weekend, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you.